A huge defeat for the net zero fanatics as another series of low traffic neighbourhoods have been cancelled, this time in Newcastle. Rejoice, ladies and gentlemen, freedom fighters, and all the people fighting against tyranny, and of course for common sense. This is another tiny victory, and we have to celebrate small victories because this is our achievement. All of you guys who've been going around for a while fighting against these net zero measures that are the ones who are irrational and illogical, and you are bringing up the campaigns, even if you're not on the streets, even if you're doing it online, we are winning. Look at this. In Farnham, in Newcastle, they had the obviously the audacity to use taxpayers' money to then go against their own freedom. They introduced the low traffic neighborhoods, LTNs, which again, as in case you don't know, you block certain roads in certain areas in the name of clean air, climate, and also traffic. But then that inevitably causes traffic in other places and moves air pollution somewhere else, right? And they've been trialing it in various places. Look at this image, for example. You got the benches there, and the whole point is to encourage people to walk and cycle, right? Even if you're 95 years old, you have to be walking and cycling, right? Now, after 18 months of trial, low traffic neighborhoods are ending this Friday, as a review found that it had not prompted more people to walk or cycle. Instead, drivers are just using different roads. I mean, obviously, also do not mess with people in the north, especially in Newcastle. Those people are not going to obey if you're giving them some irrational, stupid, tyrannical policy. They're not like the soft Londoners who just obey everything. These people are going to be rebelling. So, this is happening now. They've decided by Friday, so we have a few days left, to cancel those the LTNs in that area in Newcastle, in Farnham. Now, one thing is, they decided to do it differently. These images that we have is actually from Newcastle. It's kind of different to the low traffic neighborhoods that we've seen in other places. They don't have the plants and all the stuff. They actually are spending more money to make sure they are blocking the roads completely. They're basically building walls, right? Now, despite a decrease in traffic on these closed roads, neighboring streets actually saw more congestions, with one reporting a 154.25% increase in cars. You literally have basically over 100% of car usage in other places. It makes sense. That's literally, you didn't actually have to experiment physically. There are certain experiments or trials could actually be done academically. You can just do it theoretically and do your calculations. You know it's not going to work. Some experiments you have to do physically to see human action and human behavior. This is completely nonsensical. How many times do we have to do the same thing to see the same result? It's the same thing with the other globalist ideas like the universal basic income. They keep trialing it in different countries and it keeps failing. And then they keep trying it again. Well, it's failing. There's a reason it fails, because it goes against human nature. Anyway, next issue on this is there's been a lot of outrage. The number of times we've had ambulances getting stuck during an emergency because they didn't know, or basically there's a new LTN measures in certain areas, or they had no choice because there was traffic somewhere else. They thought they could just cut through different roads. They got stuck and patients were at risk. There was a lot of issues with people in different areas rebelling and destroying the low traffic neighborhoods measures. They were setting them on fire and everything else. Similar actions that we've been seeing in Greater London when it comes to the ultra low emission zones, with ULEZ they're doing with the cameras and the signs. Across the country, when it comes to low traffic neighborhoods, they've been setting them on fire or completely removing them. The interesting thing I want to know is about the behavior of Londoners, because I always had the feeling that the opposition towards or against ULEZ expansion is not really the same as the anger that people have outside of London when it comes to all of these things. 15-minute cities, low traffic neighborhoods, clean air zones. The reason I say I can see a difference is because in London we also have low traffic neighborhoods. In London we also had ULEZ before ULEZ expansion. None of these Londoners kicked off. They seem fine with it. Right now there are LTNs everywhere. People are not rebelling. I'm talking about not the political activists, not the ones who are watching this channel right now. I'm talking about the other Londoners. They're people who are not political. They're people who are now fighting against ULEZ expansion because it's coming to the area. But they were fine with normal ULEZ and they were fine with LTNs. It's kind of fascinating. Let me know your thoughts, your theories about this compared to people outside London. Anyway, it also emerged that the low traffic neighbourhoods had made little or no impact on reducing school traffic. So one of the things that we're supposed to be helping was not just to encourage people to walk and cycle so that we don't pollute the air and we could actually save the planet. It was also supposed to be helping with traffic for school kids and their parents and the commuters. But it didn't really change anything. So air pollution, not much help. Traffic, you actually made a bit of a mess. And you have disobedience going on. As I said, these people are not soft Londoners. They are in Newcastle. You do not tell them to do something that is wrong. And now we have Councillor Jane Byrne, who is in charge of this, kind of the connected, it's smart city nonsense, clean city, right? She said, it is important to note that each neighbourhood and the low traffic zone is unique, okay? As we use the data where we collect alongside feedback from the public consultation in deciding on the long-term future of individual schemes. You do realize what this means. I'm going to translate what she's actually saying. Basically, we did the trial. We discovered that the consultation came out negative and people are kicking off. So what we're going to do is we're not going against our commitment towards net zero. We're going to find a different way. We're going to rebrand the similar policies and we're going to introduce it to the public by tricking them. That's basically what they're saying. They might even actually end up just raising taxes instead. So they're not going to completely give up. They're not going to completely surrender to public opinion. These people are going to find a different way to push their own agenda. And it keeps happening on a regular basis. So critics argue that LTNs make little impact on pollution and simply move congestion and CO2 emissions to other areas. For example, Queensway was the worst affected road, with the number of vehicles rising from 706, this was in March 2022, to 1,795 in September 2022, in only a few months after the LTNs were introduced. The council now intend to plans to remove the bollards that it had installed around Gowland Avenue and Nunsmore Road and Kingsway, which again they used taxpayers' money to fund that initially. They're removing them now because the trial has been a failure. But as I said, we can celebrate a little victory, but they're going to come back. They are retreating to essentially regroup and find a new way to control you and take your money. They're not going to give up until they ban cars and they force everybody to walk and cycle regardless of age or health. So in order to streamline the world, the whole globalist agenda is to make the world as smaller as possible and easier to manage. So we don't have to do macro management with national governments. We could just do micromanagement by using international entities, which is kind of fascinating. So on the one hand, they are going towards a globalized world, promoting the ideas like the European Union, right? And at the same time, they want to keep us controlled in small boxes. Like, okay, this is just going to completely fall apart from all different angles. And throughout the whole process, those who are going to take advantage of this, the people at the top, they're going to make money. They're not going to be affected by any of these policies. And we're going to suffer. We have to pay more taxes. We have to freeze in the winter. And we have to sacrifice our own lives for the cause. This is a new version of collectivism. In the name of liberalism, which was supposed to be liberating humans, the current liberal globalist agenda is basically collectivism. Like communism, like fascism, these are all collectivism. You do things for the cause, for the greater good. Not for your own family, not for your own existence, your own survival. No, for the greater good. This is what we're dealing with now. Anyway, these are my thoughts. Let me know what you think. I'm Tousi, and we are the media.